Hi, and welcome back this week to Truth, Health, and Wellness with Matt and Deborah St. John. Welcome, guys, back. And I know you guys have probably, I guess, had a busy week, you said?
It's been pretty busy, yeah.
It's been very busy, yeah.
What has been going on that you're seeing a lot of this week?
There are a lot of sick folks, still a lot of sick people, a lot of virus, a lot of viral issues going. COVID is still here, the flu here, strep here. And so we're dealing with a lot of that, and we're really busy these days.
We are. We just put some fresh fire cider on, so in about 4 weeks it'll be ready.
And of course, everyone's wondering, what is fire cider?
Well, do you want to explain?
Is that the one that we saw the
explain.
pictures of online?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
it looks nice.
So basically, it's an apple cider vinegar tonic that has just a multitude of things in it, and everybody's is probably a little different. You know, you just
horseradish,
you take
turmeric,
what you can get, what's available, and it's like onion,
ginger,
black peppercorns, turmeric, orange, lemon, several other
garlic
things.
and onion.
Garlic, yeah.
Do you drink it or?
You do. You let it ferment for about a month, and then you strain it all off, and you take a shot of it a day for good immunity. It helps with colds, flus. It also has oregano and thyme in it, so it's it's an antiviral, antibacterial.
Good for the lungs, good for the bronchioles.
Yeah, it's help warm you up on a cold day. It's really, really good.
And when they come in your store, because I know I used to in California get the little shot bottles of the stuff that you would take, like similar to that. Is that how it's done at your place, or do you buy a bigger bottle?
It's going to be an 8-ounce bottle.
Yeah, we'll sell them in bottles that they can use, multi-use bottles.
Okay.
Yeah, we're super excited about that.
Well, for everyone out there, we are live, so if you have any questions, there's going to be a number on your screen. You can call at any time, and we'll take your questions that way, or Facebook Live. We will have questions, answers for your questions if you send those questions in on Facebook Live, so feel free to do that. And let's go ahead at the moment here and jump into some we've got here. What do you think about intermittent fasting, and is it healthy?
Oh, wow. Well, intermittent fasting, basically we're talking about periods of times that people select, normally in advance, that they will spend fasting, which means not eating. So they'll fast. A lot of people fast breakfast, and a lot of people fast breakfast, and it's of course extremely unhealthy to do that. Then other people will choose other meals, or they'll go entire days, or they'll pick days of the week that they'll fast primarily, or maybe they'll just do liquids. Several different types. There's so many different types of intermittent fasting. Problem that I have with intermittent fasting is that it can be very, very hard on the pancreas. It can be hard on your glucose, your blood sugar. What happens when you don't eat? Well, your sugar drops, you lose your energy, you get lethargic. You could even pass out and even die if you the hypoglycemia to severe degrees. So it's not a good idea to send yourself into a hypoglycemic state very often and consistently. I'm not an advocate of intermittent fasting for the most part, especially with people who have, let's just say, less than perfect insulin levels or their glucose levels. We need constant protein, we need constant energy, we need constant nutrition, we need to also repair our bodies. So we need to eat according to basically how we live and the type of lifestyle and the type of activity level that we have. And so if people are, they're working out, we have a daughter, for example, who just started doing track. Well, she already weighed 85 pounds before she started doing track, so now she's doing track and she's already thin. And now she also does dance. So there are days where she does dance and track on the same day. So obviously, can you imagine her caloric load for the
Right.
day needs to be much higher. The protein intake needs to be much higher. And if she were to intermittently fast the day or the day after that she had that much exercise, she could fall over.
Yeah.
So it's not a great idea to pick, but people need to get in tune with their bodies. They need to understand what they're doing. If intermittent fasting is what's going to stimulate someone to jump into a lifestyle of health and wellness, and then by golly, do it. But once you learn and understand your body, you'll quit doing the intermittent fasting for the most part. That's sort of like people who are taking and eating these extremely high protein, high animal fat diets. It's something that we don't agree with because we watch their cardiovascular systems, we watch their bodies and the toxicity levels as this happens, and they'll lose weight to start with, of course, because they drop their carbohydrates. But what goes up normally comes down, and that's the same with metabolism. So it's generally not a good idea to skip meals, especially not breakfast. Donald Layman, who's a research scientist, probably one of the best when it comes to protein. He and I met and had a good bit of conversations. We were actually sitting at a table in Turkey, in Ephesus, Turkey. So we're sitting at a table at having lunch. There's about 30 cats underneath our table, and we're having this conversation about protein, about metabolism, about eggs, about all these different things, because I was really grilling him. And we were getting into the details about, if you wake up in the morning and, it's time to program your body. So it's sort of like a computer. If you don't program it, if there's no programming in the computer, it's worthless. If there's no
Right.
software, there's no data. So if you don't program your body, and if you don't allow your body to be programmed in the right way, then it's not going to run right. So it's been proven that eating around 20 to 30 grams of protein first thing in the morning, within 30 minutes of waking up, stimulates metabolism, helps your body to be programmed to burn body fat rather than trying to burn sugars and carbohydrates, and it makes sure to spare your lean muscle tissue. So if you get that breakfast, if you get that nutrition, you get that protein in the morning first thing, you're healthier. People who skip breakfast are less healthy. So it's important that people understand, which meals are the most important, especially in their lives, according to their lifestyle, how they work. But the main thing is, for most people, breakfast is extremely important. Skipping breakfast is a terrible idea.
Right.
Yeah.
You met with a doctor one time who was fasting. Do you remember that? The meeting you had with him, and he could hardly even think straight.
Yeah.
He could hardly even form sentences properly,
forgot
and
about
he was
that.
a
Wow.
medical doctor,
Yeah, he was
handling patients, but he was fasting.
He was so lethargic
And
he
it
couldn't
was
think straight.
weird.
It was scary. He wasn't a
Yeah.
very good advocate for intermittent fasting,
Yeah, no,
considering
that
he could
wouldn't
barely
work, would it?
talk or think straight. Forget about that.
Yeah. It was weird.
That was weird. But it happens a lot, and hypoglycemia is something that a lot of people put themselves into, and it's not a good idea. Hypoglycemia will typically, or can lead to type 2 diabetes eventually, but it's certainly going to contribute to a poor metabolism, low energy. It's also going to affect your cardiovascular system. It's going to affect your heart negatively, so it's not a good idea.
No, and it's not a good way to lose weight either.
Nope.
By intermittent fasting. You might think that it would help, eating less a day, but it's not a good way.
The optimal diet is as many calories as you can possibly consume that aren't spilling over into stored body fat. So why are we trying to not eat when what we really need to be doing is just eating the right things?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So bye-bye Krispy Kreme donuts. No.
Bye-bye Krispy Kreme. Yeah, well, every once in a while, if it's one of those, we weekend snack. We have this policy, which is, I don't know how great of a policy it is, that on the weekend, which is, what's the weekend, by the way? Is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah,
or is
right,
it just
that's
Saturday and
true.
Sunday? Or is it Sunday night? Sunday night might not be the weekend. Thursday
Yeah, it's
night
hard
could
to
be the
say.
weekend.
It could.
That's tonight.
It
Cake.
could start early.
So what we do, and we travel all these cool, we go to the Amish, we go to the Mennonites, and it doesn't matter how healthy we are or how we live, they're always like, here, have pie. So it's like, we go to Peru, it's like, here, have cake. It's like, cake, I didn't know you had cake in Peru. So it's funny because we go to these places, we get these what we call yum-yums.
Yeah.
But then it's like, when do we eat it?
Yeah.
It's like we go to the Mennonites and we'll have an entire table to spread. I mean, we have bread, we have
Cookies,
what's the whoopie pies?
Whoopie pies.
The Amish and the Mennonites make whoopie pies. It's just,
cinnamon rolls.
It's
those
not like
things-
moon pies or.
it's like moon
Kinda,
pies
but
with
not.
with extra type 2 diabetes built in. I mean, these things are stout, and so they make this stuff, and they normally don't even eat it themselves, but they make it for people like us, the English, that come by and buy it, and then we stock up, and it's like, well, we can't even eat all this on the weekend.
Right,
There's
right.
not enough weekend to eat all this stuff before it goes bad, because guess what? The Amish and the Mennonites don't use preservatives, so that
We have to share it a lot.
we share the love. Yeah. but the weekend snacking and the weekend, it sort of helps us to say, okay, well, it's Monday, we can't have
Yeah.
the Krispy Kreme. Oh, it's Friday night. Let's do the Krispy Kreme.
Time to party.
Yeah,
but
boundaries. Yeah.
Hopefully something better than Krispy Kreme. But yeah, it's important to set standards and to have common sense built into your diet, but at the same time, don't restrict yourself. If you've gone a week and you want ice cream, eat ice cream.
Yeah.
You know, you might go to the grocery store
Just
and
don't
get
eat
some
the whole
organic. Yeah, get some organic. That's the funny thing too. If it says organic, or if it's like low sugar, or if anything, you know, anything's GMO free, it means I can eat more. No, that doesn't mean
Not
that.
exactly.
Organic doesn't mean fat free. That's a fact.
I had a boss back in the day, and that was the thing. It was some diet going around, but she's like, they said I could eat anything, so I ate a whole gallon of ice cream, and I gained all this weight. And it's like, yeah, you probably can't eat that much.
When I first got into this, I was turning 16, and I basically, it was during the process of turning 16, and I remember how confusing it was, because in 1992, 93, it was the low fat diet. Remember, it didn't matter how many carbs or how much sugar was in it, but they'd have like a pie or something to say fat free,
Fat-free.
and you'd be like, well, my goodness, I'll just eat the whole thing.
Right.
Exactly.
And of course, to take the fat out is actually, in many cases, taking some of the only healthy, you know, parts out of the pie. You know, the butter or the whatever. Of course, you don't want margarine, you don't want things like that. But it's just amazing the things that I learned really early on in this field. I was like a guinea pig. I did the high protein, low carb. I did the high carb, low protein. I did the high fat, low carb. I did the, you know, all these different things. The Zone Diet by Barry Sears. I had, you know, the what was it? The something beach diet. South Beach diet. The Zone Diet. All these
there's
different types of
keto
diets.
and-
The keto diet, yeah. And the main thing is this: everyone has a diet. We're all on a diet. Your diet is how you eat. Now, a lot of your diets are really terrible, and a lot of times my diet is not that great. But our diet is our diet. So everyone's on a diet. It might just be terrible, but everyone's on a diet. And so when you look at dieting, I can't stand that phrase, because dieting, what does that mean? You eat? I'm dieting, really? I'm eating. I mean,
Should be a lifestyle.
it's a lifestyle. So when you look at your quote unquote diet, what you need to look at is, okay, how do I want to eat the rest of my life?
Right.
How do I really want to eat the rest of my life? Do I want to restrict every single thing? Like this whole thing with being even gluten intolerant.
Yeah.
It's not the gluten that people are sensitive to, it's the glyphosate that people are sensitive to. That's why they need an organic wheat. So the more sensitive you are to gluten, the more messed up your digestive tract is. The more you need to be cleansed, the more you have, you know, probably glyphosate poisoning and other things. So to look at these types of diets and to see the people that get on them, we watch them crash and burn so many times. So it's one of the most important things for me is to take a person, we talk about their diet, is to establish an eating plan that makes sense for their lifestyle, to explain to them why they need to eat the way they need to eat, and then to also build in enjoyment. We love to eat.
Absolutely.
Some friends called on the way here, some Canadian friends, and they're probably going to be watching, but they're headed to Costa Rica. And you know, we were talking about the food in Costa Rica, which isn't as good as Peru, by the way. But Costa Rican food was just was strange to us.
Yeah.
We really thought that was strange. They have a strange diet.
They do.
A lot of mayonnaise and ketchup.
Mayonnaise and ketchup
Yeah, they'll-
on their, like,
You're like, I need a burrito. They say,
Taco.
okay, here's your burrito. And you get your burrito. It's covered with French fries and has ketchup and mayonnaise on it. You're like, well, I didn't order the food. They're like, well, that just comes with our food, with
how it
everything we do. So it's strange. But anyway, it's very important with our diets to enjoy our lives, to enjoy our diet and what we eat, but not to love food so much that we mess ourselves up, not to become gluttonous or, you know, problematic with, you know, excessive eating or just eating at the wrong time. A lot of it's just how much people eat.
Yeah.
You give me a bag of Doritos or chips, and I can knock some down. So I try to avoid the Doritos. So, you know,
organic Doritos.
even the organic ones. Mercy, that's another story.
Well, again, for all our viewers out there, we are live. So if you have any questions, feel free to call in on the number on your screen, or you can send them in on Facebook Live right now, and we'll see if we can't get those answered on air for you. Let's take another one here. Our son has already developed an addiction for smoking. I have challenged him to quit and to start this new year clean. He asked me what he should do to help him quit. Can you give him any suggestions?
The sad part is they're 12. I'm just kidding. They're not.
I was
12.
like, did I miss that
She was
part?
reading really hard. She's like, did I miss that? No, I'm hoping this child isn't 12, and I'm hoping it's not a child. But it's common. I mean, I remember some things back when I was 14 and 15 that may or may not have ended up in my saxophone case, you know, and whatnot. And I remember my dad finding a pack of Camel filterless one time. And I think he was impressed that they were filterless, but at the same time, it was hard for me to explain, Dad, I tried these one time, hated them, and never have used them again. I just left them in my case. He was like, well, you're grounded anyway. Fix that. At least I didn't have to sit and chain smoke the entire pack. But it's very interesting when you look at tobacco. I mean, you can sit and tell kids all day long, smoking is wrong. It's disgusting. It's unhealthy. It's going to kill you. They know all that already. So really, what you need to figure out is, why does your son want to use something that's going to kill them? They know it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Your life is going to end sooner by smoking, and you're going to die in a more miserable way than if you don't smoke. So why would you smoke? It's going to affect adversely your cardiovascular system. It affects your immune system. It affects your breath. It affects your lifestyle. It affects who's going to be in a relationship with you. It affects your digestive tract. It affects your reproductive ability. It's like, okay, well, it's like, son, if you want to be terrible in bed, if you want to, have stinky breath, if you want to die earlier than you should, and if you want to have cancer, and if you're really obsessed with stinking all the time, and being on a drug that when you get off is going to cause you to swell up like a pig, then smoke. But if you don't. And so that's, but here's the thing too. Now that they've started on this tobacco product, it's not just the tobacco that's the problem. It's not. In Peru they use mapacho. Mapacho is a tobacco that's used medicinally in Peru, and we've used mapacho, and mapacho is an incredible. It's a very intense. It's also 10 times stronger than Virginia tobacco. It's called Nicotiana rustica. And they use that tobacco with much respect and in a medicinal way. No one's addicted to it.
It's not full of chemicals. It's not sprayed with a bunch of
Right.
stuff.
So here's the thing. I had a friend who was interesting. He called himself a shaman, and but he lived over in Alexandria, and for a little while. And so this individual ended up in Birmingham. They were an herbalist, but they were really good at extractions. So they were basically more or less like a chemist. And they were really working hard. I'm saying they in past tense because this person has passed away since now. But we were doing some business with each other as far as they were doing some tinctures for us at St. John's. And one day they called me. This individual called me and he said, "I'm going to have to quit doing tinctures for you." I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Well, I signed a non-competition agreement. I got a deal. I got a contract." And I'm saying, well, who on earth did you get a contract with that's so big that you can just cancel all your accounts? I thought this guy was trying to be an herbalist.
Right.
Well, it was with Philip Morris.
Oh, that explains it.
And so this was very interesting because at the time he was experimenting with valerian root, and he was experimenting with wild lettuce, and he was experimenting with a couple of other herbs. And these botanicals that he was experimenting with, he was extracting so strong that you could take 1 drop of his valerian root tincture and you would get tired. 1 drop. And so in doing this, he was also very interesting, very kind of peculiar person. And he was researching things to make things more addictive. He was researching how to extract constituents from botanicals that would make other things more addictive, like drinks or sodas or whatever. And that's the last thing that I knew that he was working on. And then he got a gig with Philip Morris. And that's the only thing that he was working on. So obviously, when you deal with tobacco companies, you deal with big tobacco, and you deal with all, it's very strange how you can go down to Peru and you look at the people who smoke. You go to other countries and that don't use the chemicals and the filters and all the different things on their tobacco, and the people are not dying of lung cancer in the same incidence. Right. So it's a matter of what's on the tobacco, what's in the cigarettes, other than just tobacco.
Well, only half of what's in a cigarette is tobacco.
Yep, 50%.
Or less.
Wow.
Everything else is added,
So we've come to the conclusion that it's to get people off tobacco, it's not an easy thing, but some of the best herbs, some of the best things for it. We have a formula called Smoker's Formula. And it was kind of funny because we designed and developed Smoker's Formula as a formula for cigar smokers and pipe smokers, and for people who smoked cannabis who were doing it legally for medicinal purposes. But it was for people who smoked who didn't want to quit, who planned to continue to keep smoking. We developed a Smoker's Formula not for stop smoking, but to help people keep smoking and do it in a more healthy way. Botanicals that help with the cardiovascular system, botanicals that help protect the pulmonary system, botanicals that help the mucous membrane, that help the breath. It even had chlorophyll to help the breath, or has chlorophyll to help the breath. But I had a problem because the more as we got closer to releasing, I'm like, there really needs to be a couple of ingredients that help people to not want to smoke. So I went ahead and put in a couple of ingredients that help people to want to quit smoking, and it ended up becoming a non-smoke or stop smoking formula. So now the smoker's formula is the most popular, which I designed for people to not quit smoking. But anyway, that's another story. Sometimes things just
Right.
take an identity of their own. But it's really neat to see what kudzu root, kudzu that grows all over
Yeah.
the place like a weed.
It has
and
a use.
It does have a purpose, and the roots will grow 6 feet underground, and sometimes the roots are 6 feet long for kudzu. That's why it's so hard to
They
get
will
rid of
not go
kudzu.
away, yeah.
And when it gets in your forest, it's there. But the cool thing is that the root is like a starch. The root's like a powder, and it's a white powder. And when people eat the root, or when they consume the powdered root, it's been helpful for addiction, for alcoholism, for smoking, and to help give the body sort of a satisfied feeling. So a lot of people are using kudzu root in capsule form or even tincture form to help with cravings and withdrawal symptoms and that sort of thing. So we have that available. We also have lobelia. Lobelia has a double whammy because it helps not only with the mood and to help with anxiety and that sort of thing, but it also helps with pulmonary. It's an expectorant, so it helps cleanse the lungs. They say that within 2 years after someone has quit smoking, after they've been smoking for 40 years, that over 80% of the damage can be completely reversed.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, you can. So it's people. A lot of people haven't quit smoking because they don't think that it'll matter.
Matters. Yeah.
They think it's already too far gone.
Right.
Yeah.
But
They
it's
think
not.
they're too far.
Your
You're never
lungs
too
can
far gone.
rejuvenate so well.
Well, your lungs are big. Your lungs are big, strong, and they're very powerful, just like our heart. And so we need to be able to take care of our lungs. We need to take care of our lungs, but we also need to understand that our lungs are strong, and we can detoxify them too. Our lungs will throw off toxins, just like people think about a colon cleanse. They're like, well, I can do a colon cleanse and my colon will work better. Well, did you know you can do a pulmonary cleanse? Did you know you can do a sinus cleanse? Did you know you could do a sort of an immune cleanse? There's various types of cleanses that you can do, but pulmonary, your lungs, you can cleanse your lungs. And we talk about it all the time. And with COVID, it really opened up a lot of avenues because so many people were having to use natural pulmonary support that we really got to know some of these plants and know like the doses and what really
Yeah.
worked.
Well, I was going to throw in with that, but is there anything different for those that are vaping? Because there's so many young people out there vaping now that, from what I've been around, they almost think it's not near as harmful as smoking. But I question that. But
If I handed you a glass pipe, a lighter, and some antifreeze, and said, "I want you to smoke some of this," would you do it?
oh no.
No, you wouldn't do it. Even if you trust me, you'd be like, "Okay, well,
Yeah.
you've lost
Even
your
if I
mind
didn't
today."
like somebody, I wouldn't make them do that.
You've lost your
Yeah.
mind and you're crazy. So you wouldn't do it. Well, everyone who's vaping is. Propylene glycol, it's antifreeze. You can get vapes that don't have propylene glycol, but you have to dig to even find them. The problem with vapes are the solvents used in the vapes, and there is no regulation. The government did this fake, bogus, ridiculous thing by banning Juuls. They banned one brand. So it's almost like the government selectively found a company they didn't like. They banned that company. They used all the legislation, had all these Republicans and Democrats, patting each other on the back. Good job, Jimmy. You did great. You're going to save all those little kids' lives. No, that's one brand. They just use a different brand. All they did was price lock and destroy and get that brand out of the way. But the main thing is that we have these stores popping up left and right. And sometimes they'll even call them like a nutrition store or something crazy. They'll be like, CBD. Well, it's not just CBD, it's synthetic THC. Most of these places are selling. Your kids are running around with these vape cartridges, and these vape cartridges are not just some innocent nicotine-containing product. Half of them have THC in them, which is marijuana. It's actually not marijuana-derived because it's cannabis-derived. It's hemp-derived. So they're getting these things, but when I say derived, that's a loose statement too. Half the time, it's synthetic THC.
There's no regulation.
No
at all.
regulation. And you can go buy it at the Texaco. Abdul will sell you some. Buy 12, get one free. It's good for you. And so, they'll be happy to. And your kids are running around smoking it. And it's more discreet. It's easier to do. It doesn't stink as much. It doesn't even smell like marijuana half the time. If your kid's vaping, you should take the thing and you should destroy it right in front of them. And you should basically tell them that they're idiots for using it and that you're not going to tolerate it. It's ridiculous. Anyone who's vaping right now is foolish.
No, I mean,
Why would you vape? What are you trying to deliver? We even saw the other day B12 vapes. Yeah, B12, trying to vape vitamins. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Saw it on
Flintstones
Facebook.
brand here.
Exactly.
Flintstones bakes for kids.
Cool. Someone says, my feet ache continuously. Could this be due to a lack of blood flow to my feet or something else? I have no previous injury or surgery done to my feet.
Well, I want to say that I'm just going to assume that they have changed shoes. But assuming things for me doesn't work out very well. So I'm going to mention, obviously, that if you are having trouble with your feet, that you should possibly look into a different shoe with a different arch, different type of shoe. I've been wearing for the past, 2 years or so, maybe 3 years, I've been wearing a Turkish shoe. It's a handmade shoe called Sabas. And they're, I'm wearing it right now. I'm not going to take it off and show you. I might. I thought about it actually before I started talking about this. But the Sabas they have a very thin, flat sole, and they call them earth shoes because it's supposed to help with your feet. Long story short, because it's almost exactly like just being barefoot.
It's like grounding.
Okay.
Grounding is what they call it. Yeah, earth shoes, grounding. And so they're really neat. But when I get in and out of our van, I have a drop because I've quit using the step, and I have this about maybe a foot, maybe a foot and a half drop out of the van. And I'm in a hurry a lot of times, and I just hop out and everything. Well, as I hop out at 48 years old, and do it several times in one day, I realized, wait a minute, that didn't feel really good on my ankle. That didn't really feel good. And so then I got a pair of a Danner hiking shoes, which I wear boots, but I don't ever wear shoes like that. And so I got those that actually had an insole,
Yeah.
an outsole, a big, thick sole. And oh my goodness, it was like
Total
walking on
difference.
air. And so for things like getting at, for the shock, for something that needs absorption, that's the kind of shoe that I need. Or I just need to be very conscious about getting in and out of the van, because other than that, it's not, I don't really need any more support. But other people in different jobs, if you work, for example, on a slab, on concrete, we're on concrete here in this studio. If you're going to be on that type of environment, that type of floor, you might look into something like Clark's or some kind of shoe that's very good. I think Clark's is started out as a nursing shoe, which was helpful for nurses because they're on their feet all the time. Other than that, B vitamins. B vitamins and anything that helps with circulation. Your B complex vitamins would help probably in this situation, but also your circulatory herbs like butcher's broom would be really good. Cayenne pepper, horse chestnut. Horse chestnut is often used for people with varicose veins in their legs.
Okay.
A lot of times that's something that can be really helpful for varicose veins, butcher's broom and horse chestnut. But people also use it for when they have neuropathy or leg pain or foot pain. So that could be something to look into. But I would definitely look into the shoes, and then I would look into maybe some things that would help with the overall pain in the feet. Also, reflexology and foot massages. This might be a good, if this is an individual who's married, maybe you could talk your spouse into giving you a foot rub at night. Rubbing them with some essential oils and maybe some Tiger
Valentine's
Balm.
Day is coming up.
That's true. That's true. I used a little Tiger Balm on my elbow before I came in here, and she smelled it. I was like, I used a little Tiger Balm. She's like, is that what I smell? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's 48-year-old Matt with his Tiger Balm.
Hey, it doesn't smell like icy hot though. It's like that old.
It
cool
does
stuff.
a little bit. Actually, she's just being nice.
No,
yeah.
not to me at least. It doesn't.
I'm smoking on man. It's okay.
Well, we only have roughly a minute left, but with that, I
wow.
was going to say, anything, or is it better to help elevate feet or keep them down? Anything to do with that?
It depends. With your feet, elevating your feet can be helpful, but elevating it to about parallel to the heart. But elevating feet, if you're having that much problem, then there's something either wrong with your shoes or you have a foot problem that probably needs to be addressed. I saw two. We had 28. There was another one. Bursitis.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of treatment for bursitis pain?
We've got that one. Can I get a time limit here?
We have 20
to give
seconds.
30 seconds. Go for it.
Yes, there is. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay, so we're going to hold
Bursitis.
bursitis for next week. So if you're having pain with bursitis, or if you know someone who does, make sure they tune in next week. And then for everyone out there, we want to thank you for joining us again tonight for Truth, Health, and Wellness with Matt and Deborah St. John. Again, feel free to send in questions even after the show's over, and we'll try to get them to them, see if we can't get them answered for you. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you back here next week.